Hey everybody, welcome to season 5 of What's IGN Crushing On. I'm Karen Welby Solomon and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Welcome to episode 6 of season 5 of What's IGN Crushing On. We're back this week and I'm here with Leanne. Say hi, Leanne.
Hello, Karen, and how are you?
I'm okay. Just these really noisy dogs in the background. And you, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Good weekend, good week. Surprising news, lots going on.
So this week on the podcast, we'll be talking about the death of Queen Elizabeth II, the highlights of the Venice Film Festival, what new Disney projects we're excited for, as well as our favorite fictional queens. Plus, we chatted to Akin Omotoso about his new series, The Brave Ones. So stay tuned in. So on Thursday, we got the news that Queen Elizabeth II passed away. The Queen was 96 years old and had been the Queen of the British Empire for the last 70 years, since 1952.
Just celebrated her jubilee.
Oh, yes. That happened earlier this year. She died on her Scottish estate, Balmoral, and she was succeeded by her son, who is now known as King Charles III, and his queen consort, Camilla. Yeah, Camilla. I was going to say Camilla Parker Bowles, but that is her former surname, and I am confusing myself.
They are officially married now.
Yeah, I know. That sounds
So
like
she's
that's not her
Camilla
surname.
Windsor, yeah.
Yes. They've been married for the past 17 years, as he said in his speech. I actually would not have
Jeez
known that.
Louise, has it been that long? I feel
Yeah,
old
17.
now.
I don't know why. I thought it was longer. And then I was like, oh, yeah, they lived in sin for so long before that. Just kidding. I didn't subscribe to the living sin vibes. So now the line of succession changes. We had now that the Queen has passed on and the throne now goes to King Charles III, people were questioning whether he will change his name. But I was like, nah, guy, you're 73 years old. It's too late for a new name
It's too
now.
late. Yeah.
No one's going to call you anything else. Like, they're still going to call you Charles.
Yeah.
I still say Kate Middleton when I talk about Princess Catherine of Wales.
Oh, yeah. I
they've
also
been
still call her Kate Middleton.
I also still say Meghan Markle. So it's very difficult to get rid of that kind of. So if he had to change his name to, like, for example, George or something like that, are we still going to call him Charles? So I think he's probably going to end up keeping his name, because they've already referred to him as King Charles, and in all the official info. But I just wanted to give the update of the of the succession, because on the website, the royal family website, they posted it almost like, ooh, the hottest top 10, like these are the top 10 new people for the throne, because it obviously shifts a lot. So we have King Charles, obviously, who is now the king, and then after that would be his son William, Prince of Wales. After that is Prince George of Cambridge, William's son. And when Prince George was born, they changed the law so that, women could also inherit the throne. So then after that, it moves to Princess Charlotte of Cambridge, then Louis. And then after that, it moves to Harry, his son Archie, and then his daughter Lilibet. And then rounding up the top 10 is Andrew, Duke of York, who is Charles's very problematic brother. And then there's Beatrice, his daughter, Princess of York, and then her daughter, Sienna. And And then, it obviously goes further to Beatrice's sister, Eugenie, then to Princess Anne and her children, and then finally, poor kid, to Edward and his kids. Um, it's complicated. But I just
It
want to,
is
sorry,
very
before
complicated.
I let you talk, I know I've been ranting all at once, but the Queen obviously has a very complicated legacy. And
Hmm.
my opinion on this is that this is slightly controversial. Is that everybody has a right to feel sad if they want to, because many times you equate it with something like because she's something that you've known for your whole life. It means that things are changing in your own life. Time is passing. Blah blah blah. You have your reasons to be sad. What I don't agree with is people stating that everyone should be sad, and to
Mm,
lamenting people, especially people from former colonized countries, of not showing respect. For example, when the royal family and the British crown has committed so many atrocities around the world,
mm,
and people have every right to feel the way that they do. um I'm not going to elaborate more, but that's just how I feel. Like, yeah, I'm gonna say it's okay if you want to be sad. That's your thing, but you have no right to tell other people that they should feel sad or that they should show respect when when a lot of the crimes that were committed were very, very recent.
mm,
People are still alive today who have dealt with things under the crown, and
mm.
yeah. So that's my say.
Yeah, no, I back that. I think Rafilwe actually had such a great moment about it on Cape Talk in the week, um, where she kind of said like you when someone dies or when something like this happens, you have a tendency to feel nostalgic. You have a
Mm,
tendency to remember what that person meant when you were a kid growing up before you become aware of political atrocities and race and all of the rest of the stuff that comes with being an adult and realizing the world we live in. And so she was just saying, like, there will be people who can acknowledge that you can be more than one thing. Like, the queen is more than one thing. Yes, she was the head of the crown, which was horrible and whatever. But for a lot of people of color who grew up in South Africa, you grew up being absorbed by the royal family and the news of the day. And do you know what I mean? Like, your parents were obsessed with the royals. And so, in some small way, shape, or form, you would be invested in this to a certain extent because it would be linked to some sort of nostalgia. Um, and I think it's everyone's right to feel the spectrum of emotions that come with. I think for me, this moment just represents like a watershed moment because I think for a lot of people, it's the understanding that the Queen was the last remaining bastion of the monarchy. Like, yeah, sure, Charles is there and Camilla's there and William's there, but I don't think any of them are going to have the sway that the Queen had. And so it's going to be interesting to see whether or how long the monarchy continues.
mm,
Because the popularity definitely wanes without the Queen's presence.
mm.
And whether or not people are willing to put up with the monarchy in this day and age, with all we know, it's going to be interesting. I think it's emblematic of change, is what it is.
Yeah. Exactly, and I'm also very interested to see what they will do. I mean, I 100. I don't know, obviously, the truth behind it, and maybe we will never know. But I honestly feel that the royal family has some of the best PR ever, because the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they are able to change around and constantly, you know, after scandal, they just, carrying on. And we've seen monarchies in other countries fall because of these things, but not them,
Mm.
which makes me think that, like, their PR is top class. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of intrigued to see how they handle this, because Charles is not the most popular royal, and And the queen, he
Did you
doesn't have that
s-
years of tradition that the queen has. Yes, sorry.
did you see the clips already of people pointing out his brattiness
Mm,
in the privy meeting and the signing of the documents? And I'm like,
yes.
guy, day one, you that this is not bode well for you.
People are like, he's mourning his mother. I'm like, yeah, I've also mourned people before. It didn't make me into a little bitch. But
Yeah.
Charles, please don't shut me down for saying that. But um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. And I'm
Mm.
curious to see what will happen. But you know, I want my little Archie and Lilibet to get their titles. I mean, while the
I
monarchy's
was
still alive,
wondering,
I want them to
why
get their
did they
little.
not get, because they were supposed to be His and Her Royal Highness, right? But they
I don't know
stayed
about that.
as Master and Miss.
They were supposed to be prince and princess because their grandfather's now king. I don't know about
Mm,
the HRH, but they but it automatically becomes again unless Charles sends out a decree saying that they will
mm,
not be, or if obviously Meghan and Harry choose not to, as Princess Anne chose not to do that with her children. So
mm,
I feel like a decision hasn't been made yet. So automatically they should become prince and princess. But yeah, we'll see. I also feel like Charles has to be very careful around the way he handles Harry and Meghan in the future, because that will
mm-hmm.
also affect his popularity. So, um, interesting times ahead of us. I will say that. But also this week, this feels so frivolous. Like, yeah, somebody died, but also there was a film festival. There was two film festivals. Two big film festivals happened this week. Venice Film Festival and TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, where a lot of films that we've been waiting for ages were released, and we got to see like sort of like the first reactions. Reviews have come out, some audiences. But
Standing
I
ovations,
yeah, standing of
Spitgate, all of
it
it.
was a lot.
It was, this week was a lot in pop culture.
It was a lot. But we can talk about Don't Worry, Darling in a second. But um, yeah, the Venice Film Festival, all of them, but like this one in particular is known for their onnodige standing ovations. And
Mm.
I mean, like, I was talking to a friend this week, and they were like, "How do they stand for so long? I would have clapped 3 times and I would have been done." Like, no matter, even if the movie was brilliant, but it's like it's part of the the culture of these things. And I don't actually, I mean, in my opinion, I think that it's become like a peer pressure thing. Like, everybody
Yeah.
else is standing, I'm just gonna stand. And it's what we have seen in the past is that it's no semblance of like how good a movie is. Like, a movie can get like a 10-minute standing ovation and still do like meh by critics, and like
Mm.
be forgotten by the time it's award season. But everyone was raving about it at Venice because that's also a very
Mm.
specific group. The difference between Venice and Toronto is that Toronto is an open film festival, which means that people can buy tickets to go, normal people.
Mm.
Whereas Venice, you get invited. So it's a very like elite film audience. So their
Friends
reaction
of
to a film,
friends.
yeah, and
Mm.
very like top critics, top directors and that sort of stuff. So it's very like very their opinion is not necessarily the popular opinion or what most people
Mm.
from around the world will think. um Basically, that's just some background. So we take whatever you hear with like a pinch of salt. Although I did hear that Brendan Fraser in The Whale was excellent, and he was all emotional, and I'm like, this poor, this guy.
So happy for him. It's
Mm,
like he really is one of those people. Like, I'm so happy for him. It's like, I mean, I don't want to compare it to Britney because I don't think it's the same, but knowing the
definitely.
history and it's like I love that these people that have been blacklisted or have been like put down are coming out and like thriving now.
Mm.
And I'm so happy that he's back in the fold and back doing these sorts of things so that fans can enjoy him in movies again. Like, so
Mm,
exciting.
yeah. And I mean, lots of other films were released. The Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All, the cannibal film with Timothy Chalamet. That was released.
Hmm.
Apparently, that's good. I mean, I don't know as the Martin McDonough. I don't know how to say his surname. McDonough. The
Marty
Banshees of
McDonough.
Insurance, apparently also very good. And then Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe film with Ana de Armas, that's going to be released on Netflix later this month. Apparently was
Sounding
also
very
quite good.
controversial. Yeah.
Mm. Um, so yeah, there's those are the ones that I took note of. Apparently, the Tar movie with Kate Blanchett is also very good. But like, I mean, I'm sure there were lots of others. But let's talk about your favorite film. Don't worry, darling.
I
So
mean, I'm just obsessed with Hollywood giving us frivolous drama. As always, I mean, we say this every time. I'm like, the world is shit, everything's burning. Give me SpitGate to
mm,
monopolize my day. Like, I went, I had to laugh because I think you tweeted it. It was like Mindy Kaling trying to
mm,
explain the Don't Worry Doll. Like, it's a meme from The Office, and she's trying to
office,
explain
yeah.
the Don't Worry Darling drama. And I swear to you, it was what I looked like because I work with like mostly males and none of them care about pop culture. And me sitting at my desk on Twitter trying to like unravel Spitgate and like explain it to them. And then I made them watch it to tell me if they think they saw the spitting. It was amazing. I mean, obviously short lived and it's over now and like whatever. But yeah, I do think it was just an amazing piece of performance art, whatever it was. It was just what is going on. Actually, the best theory I saw was a guy on TikTok was like, Chris Pine was stoned or on
Yeah.
something. And because you see it kicking halfway through the press stuff, and then he zones out in the one ever. So by the time he's sitting, it's like I think he forgets where his sunglasses are. And that's
Yeah,
why he
and then
freeze frames. And then he spots it and he's like, except for that's my favorite theory. I'm like, yeah, it completely tracks.
yeah. Somebody else pointed out that that if Harry Styles had to have spat on him. So background. Wait, let's just give the listener some background if they like your colleagues and didn't. So background is after Don't Worry Darling screening, Harry Styles went up. He walked and he goes to kiss Nick Kroll, and he's seated. Who is on the one side of him was Chris Pine. I can't remember who was on the other side of him, but he's seated
Mm,
next to Chris Pine, and he walks back to his seat, and he does some weird movement with his mouth, and it looks like he
mm,
spat on Chris Pine because Chris Pine freezes, and like mid clap, and then just like looks down, and then carries on clapping whatever. But so people like guess that Harry Styles had spat on him, but I saw something where they're like, if Harry Styles had spat at him, he probably would have wiped. Like
yes.
so,
That's what
and
I
he
was. I
was
was like,
no.
it's weird. There was nothing like that. So I'm like, it's very strange.
But yeah, I also think the sunglasses thing kind of makes sense. But it was
Makes
so
the most
funny,
sense.
and it's just like it's the same thing I think about the Leah Michelle Connery memes because nobody
Yes.
actually thinks it's true, but the internet just likes making fun of it. So so like so like that was just like people were just having fun. Like, did you see the one where people are like Harry
Drops a
Styles to a
goat.
goat?
Best. I love the internet. Every now and then you have to be like, there are bored people around the world and they make things to brighten your day. And that was one of them, and it was amazing. I will say this. Why? Just because I'm curious about it and I haven't spoken about it, but I'm just like, maybe you have thoughts, maybe you don't. Why the conscientious effort to not have Harry and Olivia close to each other?
I
Like
think that they
every single clip I saw, it was weird. Like it was too much
mm.
avoiding.
I
Yeah.
mean, apparently, like they just didn't want the. like the conversation to be about them, because then it will bring up things like the cheating, it will bring up things like the
Guys, we're
unnatural
talking about it
dynamic.
anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, that means they acknowledge it, which means you can ask them about it. You know what I mean? And
Fair.
they aren't. But like, I mean, I also thought it was a bit much. Um, but yes, but Harry Styles very funnily also commented on SpitGate with at one of his shows. He was
Yeah.
like, "I just walked over to Venice to spit on Chris Pine, and I came back." But Chris Pine is not joining the cast at the New York premiere, and obviously neither is Florence Pugh, because she is done with Don't Worry, Darling now. She just popped on the red carpet for that, and she's done. Don't
Stole
ask
the red
about it.
carpet. She looked fabulous.
And
All
I
of
love
it.
the fact that
Loved
like
it.
her hairstylist and stuff was wearing Miss Flow on
The
there. Oh,
shade. I love it. I love the shit. I'm like, I
and
see
her,
you. I see you with your Miss Flow t-shirts. And I love it.
she's I love her so much. But yeah, moving on. So this weekend was also the D23 Disney Expo, where they kind of like showed us what's coming next, from Disney, from Star Wars, Lucasfilm, whatever. I just say Star Wars. Disney Animation, Marvel Comics, Marvel Studios, Pixar, all of those shows. Like they had one big day or weekend where they showed us what's coming. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was announced, but I just maybe just to break it down. And what did you see that you were like, oh, I'm so excited for this?
I mean, there was so much
Okay,
carrying.
choose one,
There's
please.
just
Don't just choose one, please.
okay.
We don't have all day.
No, I just mean Disney just dropped like too many things. I think
Mhm.
honestly, I'm most excited for Disenchanted. It
Oh man, that was mine
is
too.
shit. It was a sequel I've been waiting for. I loved the original. Steve and I watched it
Mm,
recently. I made him watch it, and like he was obsessed with it because it's so good, like
mm,
unexpected and fresh, and like not the same old that you get from rom coms or Disney princesses and blah blah blah. And the trailer looks amazing. Like I love what they're hinting at in the story. I love the cast. I'm just so happy that it's back. Also, why is
mm.
James Marsden not in more musicals? Come on,
He
fix
needs to,
it.
I think he needs to actively choose that. Like him and
I
Hairspray was
know.
iconic. He needs to and he also just looks like he has so much fun in those roles. Like I'm also
Yeah,
very excited for
amazing.
Disenchanted. Like to see Giselle choosing for fairy tale life, and then she becomes the villain because
I
she's like
know.
the stepmother, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think of this. This is so brilliant. Yeah, um, I love that movie also, and I love the songs in it, and oh, such a great film. But for me as well, I think I'm looking forward to. There's obviously a lot of Marvel projects, and
Mhm.
the Wakanda Forever, Black Panther for Wakanda Forever is gonna wreck me because I
Mhm.
famously very much love Black Panther. And also, little known fact about me that the audience probably learn about for the first time is one of my favorite comic book characters is Neymar. He is an like a oh, how do I say, like an anti-hero, because he's kind of
Mhm.
a villain, but he's also kind of not a villain, depends on the day. And I just find him so compelling. I like a good bad boy, like that's my vibe.
Mm.
So Neymar is making his live action debut in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Um and Michaela Cole, who I love, is in there, and there's just it's I'm very excited for that. Even though I know it's gonna wreck me because when they're gonna talk about Chadwick, I'm gonna cry,
I
and
know.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that kind of pain in my life. I'm also sorry, I'm breaking my own rules and picking another one, but I'm also very
Yeah, I
excited
was
for.
gonna say you were like just pick one. Now you're just talking about
No,
like three.
I spoke about one. I spoke about one, Black Panther, but also linked to that, Secret Invasion TV show. I'm very excited for that.
Looks
Um,
so
it
good.
looks so good, and like I love this whole thriller vibe. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's not. Olivia Colman, Emilia Clarke. I'm very excited for that as well. See, I made it short. Um, so talking about Enchanted and talking about, the royals, who is your favorite fictional queen?
So okay, so context for the listeners. We technically sometimes share what we're going to choose, so we don't choose the same thing. And I was so pissed off because Karen posed this question and then she already answered the question, and it is with the best queen. So I had to choose a different queen. And so I had to Google like all the queens because I couldn't think of any queens that are good because most shows will have the princess being the hero, which means there's an evil stepmother or an evil queen, and so you don't actually get very many good queens. And then I remembered the Queen of Asgard, Frigga, played by
Mm.
Rene Russo in Thor. She definitely is one of my favorite characters. She is strong, badass, can clearly put up with Odin and all his bullshit. Um, and yeah, so I went with Frigga, Queen of Asgard.
So as you said, I picked the best one, and I got it in there before you even thought of picking her. But mine was, of course, Queen Clarice of Genovia, Julie Andrews in the Princess Diaries films. Uh, there's something. So yeah, I spoke about this on one of the other podcasts, but I really love the Princess Diaries books that the films are based on. And I used to, I reread it quite often. But the queen in the books is very different to the queen in the films. And the queen in the book is a lot bitchier. She's a lot more like Emily Gilmore from
Oh,
Gilmore Girls. I love that though. And so I really love her. 'Cause she's kind of like a bit of a bitch, but she's also like cool. Like she's very
mm,
cool. And then I love the Julie Andrews version too because she is also pretty cool, but she's like very genial and very like, this is how things are supposed to be.
very
Amelia,
regal.
yeah, very regal. So I kind of like that mixture of like, what a modern day queen would be like in a country that's not the UK, because I feel like
Mm,
Queen Elizabeth had to deal with a lot of stuff. But if you were a smaller country like Genovia, you can be a little bit more free. And just to
mm.
see what like a modern day queen would be like I felt that Clarice embodied that well. She also like obviously any kind of like older bitchy woman would remind me of my mother, so it probably has that kind of like nostalgic feel to it. So so I think that's why I love Clarice. Like she's my top fictional
Sorry.
queen.
Can I just, for when on devours that you said somebody bitchy about her on this podcast?
She's not going to hear that. None of the listeners will tell her. My very loyal listeners. So let's move on to our interview this week. This week we chatted to Akin Omotoso. So Akin Omotoso is a South Africa, well, Nigerian South African writer, director, actor. He has done it all. I don't. People who grew up with the TV will remember him on Generations. He was one of the main characters for a long time on Generations, and he's been in a lot of like films and TV shows. He has since moved to LA and he directed this amazing film about these Nigerian basketball players for Disney Plus called Rise. Beautiful film. So if you guys have a
Mhm.
chance, you should check that out. Um, and now he is the showrunner and creator of The Brave Ones, which is the new South African series for Netflix. So, The Brave Ones tells the story of an almighty goddess who is reincarnated as a young woman, and she must harness her divine powers to avenge her sister's death and protect her family from destruction. So I chatted a bit to Akin and we spoke about the mythology around the film and sort of like how he came up with the idea, as well as the very real issues that he deals with. So the film is sort of like the reincarnation, but it's based in now in South Africa. So there's a lot of like current issues that are also dealt with, things
Hmm.
like forced removals and that sort of thing. And it's got a very fun and interesting cast full of people that you know and newcomers that you might not have seen before. Um, but yeah, Akin was an amazing person to talk to, and this is our interview with him. Hi, Akin. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Oh no, it's only my pleasure. So how has this year been? I'm sure it must have been crazy.
it's been it's been a great year. It's been a great year. I feel very blessed, and yeah, just
Mm.
very blessed.
So tell us more about what the Brave Ones is about.
So the Brave Ones is a supernatural drama premiering September 16th, only on Netflix. And it tells the story. It tells the story of Insiki Gaza, a young girl who comes into she's reincarnated as a goddess with powers, and the show is really about how she negotiates those powers, and at the same time, as she tries to avenge her sister, she understands the meaning of having these
Mm.
powers and what it means not just to her but to the community at large.
So tell me, like, what inspired this, like, the idea for you?
Well, ever since I was a child, I was 12 years old growing up in Nigeria, and the teacher came into the class one day and said, "Let me tell you about the gods." And he proceeded to tell and paint this picture of the pantheon of the
Mm.
Yoruba gods. And for me, I went home that day and I drew like a character that had fire coming out of their mouth. So from the time I was a child, my imagination was fired into this world, African mythology. And as I grew
Mm.
older and through the years, I would always collect books. I'd always have thoughts, and also, the stories my grandparents told us when we were younger. My dad and my mom, rest her soul. So the idea of gather around the campfire, let me tell you a
Mm.
story, let me paint you a picture, has always been with me. And it was only until the opportunity with Netflix came on many years later that I was able to fulfill my dream of bringing a world that's centered in African mythology to the
Mm. I love that. So I noticed like a theme of grief throughout the narrative and like how we look at death. Was that like like a theme going into the film, or did it come out through the writing or the story process?
Well, in the sort of Yoruba, so again, the series is we're pulling from a lot of African mythology. So
Mm.
not just Nigeria, it's South Africa, it's Kenya, it's everywhere, right? So because I think those cultures speak to each other in different
Mm.
ways as it pertains to the mythology. And so in the Yoruba mythology, the idea of the world of the unborn, the world of the living, and the world of the dead is a real concept. So the way in which these things are thought about is kind of what we were trying to put into the series. So that's why in the series, there's the idea of you're in the living, but there's also the world of the dead. So you're
Mm.
not like the cycle
Yeah.
continues. So that's where that comes from, is that
Mm.
idea of someone, and certain African cultures, believe in, reincarnation. So the idea of they haven't left us, they've just gone to a different plane. We can
Mm.
still commune with them. And obviously the beauty of film is that you can show those worlds.
But it's like I think for me also watching it and seeing Siki going through this kind of grief with the death of his sister. Not a spoiler, they say that in the beginning. And also Nkosi also kind of dealing with, his grief and how it affects everything that they do. I
Yes,
just thought it was really beautiful to watch.
thank you. And I think the idea of that is the resurrection. The idea of that is that you burn one thing down so that the other thing can rise. So in Siki, in the community, she's known she's
Mm.
known as a thief, but she's trying to rehabilitate her image, right? But that rehabilitation is something she wasn't ready for, which is that you're going to be rehabilitated as the person who's
Yeah.
going to lead the community in ways that you yourself, that your life will surprise you in ways that you don't know. So that idea of rebirth and dealing with that is really key.
Mm. So, the underlying threat in the season about the forced removal is also something that I found like it's incredibly rife for Africans because we all have a story of family members or ourselves that were forced out of some sort of space. How important did you feel it was to address this in the series?
Well, I thought it was very important because again, the idea of like, we want to build this here, we want to
Mm.
remove these people here or get these, you know what I mean? Like whose story is worth telling, whose life is more valuable than someone else, And I
Yeah.
think those themes excuse me, I think those themes play out all the time, and it felt like in coming up with the story or centering what, you know, while you have the world of the living and the world of the dead, in centering the world of the living, well, what's something that we can anchor it to, and I think the idea of the place you expect the hero to come from, the least
Yeah.
where, you know, and so that felt right. Like it felt too many times in our history, they're like, oh yeah, let's move these folks so that we can build this other thing. Let's, you know, and so that image just seemed right again for a community that's saying we're not going, we won't move, you know, we won't move. And then the idea of like the force that comes with that. So all those choices about you want me to be this, but I actually don't want to be that. And all those forces conspiring. And then Nsiki finds herself at the center of this and understanding what her mission and what her purpose is.
And it's a great way of also like bringing it to the real life, because the story centering around mythology and all the sci-fi and fantasy, and then, you know, people can also relate to it because, you know, we've all been through this.
Absolutely.
So
That grounded reality. I
Yeah.
always love that idea of the sort of grounded reality. You see it a lot in literature. You see it a lot in graphic novels, comics, and there's certainly aspects of it in our cinematic canon. But I really like that idea of like it's modern day Joburg, but it's, you know, we're on these three different planes of existence.
And also, we don't know what might be happening in modern day Joburg. Let's not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We might never know.
Yeah, we never know. This felt very much like Nsiki's superhero origin story. Is that sort of what you were going for?
Absolutely. And you know, again, Netflix were really supportive in that. I think, like, you know, the idea of let's see the first of hopefully an exciting world, an exciting possibility. And so, yeah, so it plays as an origin story. It's how she come, but you know, there's still scope to go. So that was really from the beginning. That was the idea of like, let's go with one and see what happens. You know.
So tell me about like the casting process. How did you decide, you know, which actors were best for what roles?
So I got a shout out casting director Terry Petto, who I know everybody knows obviously as a great actress, and she is a great actress and also continues to stretch her wings. And so, you know, we approached Terry to cast the series, and she did an amazing job, you know. Nsiki, you know, so I like working with casting directors. I also like the idea of discovering new faces and bringing new faces to the screen. And so that was the process. And so Terry and I and the rest of the team, you know, we went through quite a rigorous process to first of all cast Nsiki, and you know, Star plays her so beautifully. Like it's just she gets on that screen, you're like, yep, I'm with you. I'm rolling with you. Such a wonderful actress. And then the rest of the cast, you know, Tony, Bonko, who I saw won an award over the weekend. You know what I mean? Like Sitandiwe Koroke. Probably going to leave out. You know, I'm forgetting everyone.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful cast. And so with Terry and her team and us, we're able to find just the perfect cast. So yeah, working with Terry P.
I really thought that Nsiki was so perfect, because I was like, I don't care if she's a thief. I'm supporting her all the way through.
Yeah. That's the
Like,
thing,
I'll
right?
defend her. I'll defend her. She didn't steal those bracelets. What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. No, that's the quality that she brings to it. You know, I remember the first scene we shot with her is the scene in the party in episode 1 where she's carrying the and you know and everyone was on set that day, some folks on Netflix, and she just came on and I mean, obviously we've seen her from the audition process, but just to see her on screen in the role while the cameras were rolling was really a special day. It was just like, yeah, no, we're gonna be good.
So on that, like, what was filming like? I mean, mixing like the sci-fi aspects of the show with the realistic scenes. Like, how what was that like?
Well, it was a very exciting process because, for all of us, it's the first time we're doing something like this in terms of the scale of it, right?
Mm.
So a lot of ideas have germinated, over the years, over the last 20 years. And so now it's time to implement. So just getting the actors in a space with the stamina, what it requires, what it means to start to paint these worlds. I mean, we had a lot of pre-visualization of some of the things. So in the first sort of actors meeting, I could show them like, this is what the world of the dead is going to look like. This is what that's going to look like. This is where we think this is going to go. So there was a lot of discovery along the way, but there were certain things where it's like, this is how you need to be in this world. So I would say that was the beauty of it. That was the journey of it. It's like, how do you, how do you prepare to be able to take on this stuff? And I think we all learned from each other what to do, but all the cast were just like game and just down to do it
Oh,
because it's fun, because it's a lot of hard work, but also it's also fun in terms of you banish someone or whatever it is, you know what I mean, like what I mean, all those things are good, but then also the pandemic is a factor, so I would say navigating that was no different to any other production. So it was those two things that you were constantly navigating, and I can't thank that cast and crew enough for everything that they did as we all pushed ourselves to places that we hadn't necessarily been.
So what aspect of the mythology do you hope to explore in season 2?
Hey, I like what you're saying there, season 2.
Yeah. It's an origin story. It's a beginning. What do you mean?
It's the beginning. Yeah. I think to continue to, hopefully the audiences love it, and to continue to mine those stories, have a rich tapestry of mythology that is very prevalent in literature, again, like graphic novels and comics, and a representation in film, but not a lot. And so for me, the Brave Ones wants to be part of that canon, be part of that discussion, and also just hopefully continue to mine these kind of stories and expand the world. There's just a lot of the mythology, and those stories are beautiful, and we should see more of those stories.
I just want to say that I want to see more of the world of the undead. Like, I feel like we just touched the tip of that. I want to see more. I want to know what's going on.
I want to see more too. Yeah, I mean, it's a great place, and as you're right, we just give a little hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you like the audience to take away from the series?
What I would love the audience to take away, hopefully, is the excitement I have for these stories. The excitement I've had from the moment, like I said, my imagination was sparked into the idea that there were these African mythical sort of beings. And really for me, it's a gather around. It's like gather around the campfire. Let me tell you a story. And the story starts like this. There are 3 worlds: the worlds of the living, the world of the dead, the world of the unborn, and connecting these worlds is the tree of life. And the brave one, you know what I mean? Like that, that's why the series starts like that. It's to say, gather around, let's tell you this, let's take you into this world, and hopefully you enjoy it and you go on this journey with us, because we enjoyed it. I enjoy these stories, and I really hope the audience enjoy what we're proposing.
Okay, thank you so much, Akin, for joining us. This was a lovely chat. I'm excited for everyone to see the show.
Thank you so much, and keep on keeping on. I know I see your good work as well, so I just want to shout you out and thank you. And please keep on continuing to shine.
So that was our interview with Akin Omotoso. You can watch The Brave Ones from this Friday on Netflix. He was just such a lovely person to chat to. Also, fun fact, Leanne, did you know that his father was the Yebo Gogo guy? Well, is the Yebo Gogo guy.
What? For real?
That is his father. Yeah.
How did I not know that?
I didn't know that too till I Googled him, and I was like, whoa. But yeah, it's a fun fact. But But moving on to our favorite segment of the week, crushing on. Leanne, what have you been crushing on this week?
So I haven't watched that many things, but I did start Partner Track on Netflix, starring. I cannot believe I've just
Arden
forgotten
Cho.
her name.
Arden
Arden
Cho.
Cho. Thank you very much. Dominic Sherwood, Rob Heaps, Alexander Toshing. It is not what I expected. So it's obviously it's based on a book. Arden Cho is a lawyer. She's on the partner track, so it's very much that trope of type A career gal, blah blah blah, and then finding love. But I don't think I was expecting them to do so much ensemble work. So like the ensemble cast really plays a part in the storytelling, which is amazing.
Okay.
So it's not just her journey. And they actually do like a lot of lawyery things. So it's actually giving a little bit of like Suits, but like more rom-com-y Suits. Or maybe more like, there is hint of like 50 Shady vibes. I don't know. Because there's obviously a triangle. No, just because like there's a triangle and the one guy is like, he feels like, I don't know, there's something about him that feels like enigmatic Christian Grey, problematic mystique vibes.
Let me watch this show. Interesting.
So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm waiting to see where it goes because it's about 10 episodes, and I think I've just finished episode 3. It is also quite long. It's like 40 minutes an episode. So there's like a lot of content in it. It's not like, I thought it was going to be like light, fluffy, quick rom-com stuff. But it's actually like it's meaty and it's chunky. So and it's a bit of it's definitely slow burning, which if guys are into that, I think this one might be for you. So yeah, check it out, Partner Track.
I firstly did not know it was not. I thought it was like a little rom-com movie, but okay.
I also thought it was a movie, and then I was like, oh, okay, we're here now. We've committed.
So this week I've been crushing on Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex podcast, Archetypes. So I was listening to it before the Queen died, so it's a bit strange, but like it's been in the news a lot, and obviously anything that Meghan does, people talk about. So I was listening to it, and there's 3 episodes out now. The first episode, basically background, it's called Archetypes. So she talks about the words that are used to describe women and sort of where the background is, or why it's the negative connotations and how it can be used positively and all these sort of things. So the first episode, she spoke about the word ambition with Serena Williams, and it was very intriguing. And the two of them are like best friends, so you can kind of hear the sort of like rapport. And the second episode, she spoke about the word diva with Mariah Carey. Now, I love me Mariah Carey. She is my favorite. So I was so excited. I was like, Meghan talked to Mariah. And Meghan, I'll say after the third episode, I'll tell you, I'll be like, okay. Then the third episode, she spoke to Mindy Kaling about the word singleton.
Also your fave.
Yes, also another one of my faves. And I'm like, Meghan, girl, you're just living my dream. And then she also reveals a lot about herself in those things, like about her own history and the type of person that she is. And I was like, oh, Meghan, you just like me. You also really love Mariah Carey. She was like referring to like specific moments in her music videos when she was younger that she loved. And I was like, and she loves Never Have I Ever. She was like, oh, I love Never Ever Ever. And I was like, girl, you have such good taste. But it's actually a very interesting podcast. Like, we don't think about the words that like we use and how it affects. And she was talking to Mindy about being single and like how, the connotations around that. And the same with like, there was a part in the Mariah Carey episode where Mariah says like, yeah, Meghan, you're a diva too. And Meghan was like, she like recoiled. And then she was like, she had to kind of like after like she was done interviewing, like she like reflected back and she was like, why like how the words sort of like affected her too. Do you know what I mean? Like even she was like, like dealing with it. And I thought that, and it's such a good like introspective podcast to make you also think about like these sort of things. And then there's this activity she does at the end where she asks a guest to say 3 words they would describe themselves when they were younger, and 3 words to describe themselves now, and what is the link between those. And like, yeah, it's just I just really enjoyed it. It's only about 40 minutes each. It's probably going to be stopped now. This week's episode was supposed to be about the word dragon lady and was going to have Margaret Cho on it. And I was like, I don't want to hear Margaret Cho with Meghan Markle and Meghan Markle being nervous and not knowing how to handle Margaret's like loud humor. But it's probably not going to release this week because of the Queen. But yeah, I hope Meghan gets to release her remaining episodes that she recorded, because poor kid. But yeah, so that's what I've been crushing on. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. We can't wait to bring you next week's episode where we chat to another celeb-ish person and talk about pop culture happenings. So yeah, see you next week.
Me, you can find at Karen Walby on Instagram, at Karen Walbys with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter, Wildest Dreams, at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crushing On Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us at What's IGN Crushing On YouTube, and you can find more information about this and all our other episodes on our website, crushingonpodcast.com. Send any feedback to mail@crushingonpodcast.com, and you can send us voice notes at +27 78 362 2566. Join our Facebook group, Crushing On Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. The show is produced by me, Karen, as well as Rebecca Barches and Leanne Phillipson. The show is edited by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof, and the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others to find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.